All right, so welcome to another edition of iSocial Distancing Designer Interviews. And for today, I have a friend, a friend as a guest here. But she's representing a design studio whom I really admire because, they're really passionate in what they do. At the same time, very critical in what they do. So, I met her first with Tipong Filipino. But that's that. Parang way back pa pala with an event in their office. Yeah, I met you in this small corner in your studio, and then we parang spoke at an event by Design Kids. So I'm introducing Clara Cayosa from And a Half. Hello, Clara.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Dustin, nice to see you again.
I'm happy that you're looking really good. Parang.
Oh, I dressed up long. I dressed up long for this video.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yun, kamusta ka naman, Clara, at this season of pandemic and quarantines and all that? It's been crazy.
Yeah. I think it's been 2 months since this whole quarantine started, and I think I've been able to fully adjust to my new lifestyle. I'm actually not in my own place. I usually live in Manila, diba, for work, but before the quarantine started, my family and I decided, I think this is going to get worse. Uwi tayo sa probinsya, so I'm back home in Cagayan Valley. Yeah. So aside from the slow internet, parang kaya naman, kaya. And work's been steady, still the same. I have more time to work on other things like gardening, and I've been working on composting. So it's been fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's amazing.
Avoid natin yung screen time, di ba?
Yeah, and it's amazing that, you mentioned na we're in the same country, yet look at you, medyo madilim na dyan, and here it's still,
nice.
It's sunny.
I don't know why. I really don't understand why.
Well, I have to research on it. But for now, I'd like you to introduce who you are, and studio and a half.
Yes. So hi, I'm Clara Cayosa. I am a designer and strategist in And a Half Design Studio. I've been with And a Half for 2 years and 7 months, to be exact. So I think I'll also have to introduce And a Half to those who don't know. And a Half is a branding and design studio. We've been around for 7 years, 8 years, around that time na. Not too sure. But I think 8. Yeah, tama, 8. So we've been around for 8 years na, and we're a team of 15. Tapos, hindi lang kami lahat designers. So, we have strategists, project managers, we have a copywriter, and a web developer. We also have dogs. We have 3 loving dogs. We're based, in normal times, we're based in Mandaluyong. But, since, with the whole community quarantine, we're in our own respective homes. Work from home tayong lahat. Yeah. So I think this, maybe just a bit more about what we are all about. And a half, we're all about forming a partnership of shared values to create something more. So we always like to give our clients something more. I think yun yung whole idea nung And a Half, yung pangalan namin. And also Dustin asked to explain a bit more on the meaning of ampersand.
Yeah.
Yun, diba?
I heard that from one talk, and that really, that shows how much thought you put into that name. Sige, please.
Yeah, I was going to quickly show lang a slide. Like, since you asked me to explain that. I have with us, like, usually the first thing that we show our clients is blank and a half. So normally, ang sinasabi namin, like, we insert the name of the client. So kunyari, client and a half. Let's say Lalola and a half. Because we're all about giving something more, or bringing something more to the partnership that we have with the client. So we want we we always want to um, create a right design solution or a new perspective or a better idea. So parang kailangan idagdag pa natin kung ano nang meron kayo. So yun actually yung whole idea. And aside from that, as I said earlier, we're all about forming a partnership. And I think that's one thing I want to highlight kasi normally, di ba, mga designers, iniisip ng mga clients na, you know, you work for us, or you we pay you this much, you like do this twice as much work. And parang kami, we like to be have like a partnership, parang dito magkakasama tayo dito. Magko-collaborate tayo. Kasi parang sadly hindi yung creatives parang minsan hindi nakukuha yung respect, or parang secondary tayo. And I think parang through the years and a half has established na we're not just designers, we're here to help you out. We're here as partners, and we're here to help solve your problems through design.
Ganda. Ang ganda nun. It's because, and you really summed it up very well because ang ganda nung I think that's the thing that we should be doing with our clients, by the way, na collaboration talaga. And that's where we get more stuff really going on. But with and a half, I've heard this from you guys before, and I like to zoom in this video. I like to zoom in with your design research process because, of course, as designers, hindi lang naman tayo bringing about good looks or just aesthetics, but we really have a design thinking process in the chunk of it. So can you share more on the design research process and how you do it?
Sige. So before we go into the whole design research, baka it would help if I explain the process that we have per project. So normally we show this. If you see, there are 3 steps. So the first one is strategy, second is execution, and third is turnover. So I think it's the usual usual flow of every studio or designer. So the first phase is strategy, and it usually involves research and design, or what we call the research and design direction. So before, we do the fun stuff of like tackling the visual identity, or really designing and making the logo, choosing typefaces. Before all of that, we begin our process through understanding of the client or of the brand. So like yung buong aspect niya, we research on their messaging, their current messaging, their market, their competitors, their current strategies, and we try to be as thorough as possible in this research. And then from that research, we base yung design, yung tinatawag namin design direction. So, sinesynthesize namin lahat ng nakuha namin, and we turn them into visual values. So ito yung parang it sets the mood or the overall direction of the brand identity. And then after that's approved by the client, then we move on to the second phase, which is execution, which is where we start designing, the identity. And from there, we base all our design decisions on the research and design direction that we created earlier, diba? And then from there, aside from the visual identity, gumagawa rin kami ng mga verbal identity. And occasionally also we do brand collaterals, especially for returning clients. Ayun, parang since kabisado na namin yung gawa namin, minsan kami rin yung nagde-design ng actual brochures, tickets, other collaterals. And then after that, last phase is the turnover. So we normally have a brand standards manual or yung brand guidelines. Because ideally, yung client hindi na babalik sa amin. You know, ideally, kaya na nilang gawin lahat ng ginawa namin or even, go beyond what we made based on the brand guidelines that we turned over to them. So yun. So now, like, think we can dive deep into design research. And parang gusto ko lang i-explain to, I guess, in a personal sharing lang. Because ako, when I got into And a Half, I started out as a designer. So I didn't really, um, so the process was, you see the phase one was research strategy, phase two design. Dito lang ako pumapasok normally sa phase two. Pero I guess after a year, maybe probably a year after I, learned the ropes of in the house process, I started to experiment on being a strategist. And I want to highlight lang yung importance ng doing design research sa start ng process. Kasi we always want to make sure that our designs are rooted in something that connects to the brand's values and purpose. And ayun, para lang maintindihan ng client na bakit kaya red yung pinili na color or bakit kaya ito yung font na pinili. Yun. Kailangan may pinaghuhugutan yung design, di ba? And I think this is what sets And a Half apart kasi we really give importance to the research and the strategy. And I think parang just to note, kami in And a Half, we don't really create choices or like versions. So we don't also do we don't propose like different decks. When we do a project, bigla ka. When we do a project, since na we did research and the design direction prior to designing the brand identity, at naintindihan na ng client na-align na namin yung client with the concept that we propose, parang it is up to us and our, I guess, like, expertise in design to create an identity based on the design research that the research that we did in the start. So yun.
Wait. So let me just clarify that part. Kasi when you say you do not give options, so what I'm thinking, so correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm thinking, it's an almost a Paul Rand move, because a Paul Rand move is like, I'm not just a designer, but I am a business solutions finder. I solve your problems. So when Paul Rand designed Next for Steve Jobs, what he did was he created one logo. He gave one logo because he understood na, okay, I would not give you options, but you got me because I understand your problem. And this is what I think will solve your problem. Is that it?
Yes. Parang it's we realize, I mean, it's been how many years since And has been refining this process that we've been using for 8 years. And syempre trial and error in the start, parang we give choices but then we realize, that's very counterproductive, or it takes up a lot of time and effort from the designer's end. And that's why we try to, counter that by thinking of research and of strategies to support the design or the decisions that we make in the identity.
Wow, that is no, I mean, this is the first time that I've heard something like this in the local context, because that I understand in a like international scene. Even I haven't really reached that kind of technique yet, but I guess with proper design research, you can really tell the client that we have really studied what you really need, and this is what we can suggest to you in proposal. Wow, and the half you guys
Uh,
are okay.
and I think apart from, researching and, all these like market research, qualitative research and stuff, I think what's nice talaga with the first phase, which is what we do before the design, is that it's very collaborative. So, kunyari, we have a client who comes to us for a rebrand. Kunyari si client, like medyo lost na yung brand nila na they want to, parang nawawala na sila ng, um, nawawala na sila ng audience and they want to reshift their focus and medyo lost sila. We try to help them out, rehash their brand purpose, their core purpose, their brand DNA, their vision, mission, ganyan. We try to guide them in this first phase that we do. And I think that's the beauty of the process is because it's really collaborative. Eh. Hindi yung I work for you, I will just turn this out for you, I will design for you. Okay, you want this type of logo style? Sige, I will do it for you. Hindi namin yung ginagawa. Because again, kailangan may pinaghuhugutan yung design and the decisions that you make.
Wow. Okay. That is very that's very enlightening, especially for I hope that other designers will also understand the gravity of right before you actually execute something, kailangan matindi muna yung background of it. So for me,
Yes.
asking on your kunyari, from your perspective or your personal experience, can I ask can you give like one project as an example that really gave you some challenge, not problem but a challenge in terms of solving, and how are you able to solve it?
Okay. Normally kasi when we start an identity, we try to figure out a problem. You know, I think you're familiar naman yung design challenge, the when you create the design challenge, how might we. So if you go through our website, makikita mo ganun namin yung structure yung project. It's always a problem that has to be solved through our design. As for like a specific project I have in mind, the first project that I was I headed when I started in the house was this rebrand for a school called Aha Learning Center, and so the founders, Jayton, came up to us and the, and this project was done through at the time it was called Helping Half. It was our program uh, to offer our services or design services to an NGO. And so Jayton came up and asked us to help with rebranding his school because they had like problems of not having enough volunteers to come over to the tutorial to the center. They also hindi consistent yung attendance din ng volunteers. And at the time, Jayton was working on getting financial support, from financial grants from foundations and other donating organizations. So what we did there, and I think that was main part of our strategy was to actually experience being a volunteer. So for a few weeks, yun yung ginawa namin. Nagturo kami ng mga grade school students, mga math, English, science, reading. Ginawa namin yun para maintindihan namin yung flow, yung yung experience ng volunteers. Because normally these volunteers were students, young professionals who had free time naman to help out in the schools in Poblacion in Makati. So from there, we gained insight, and then that's where we realized na um, may parang disconnect between the volunteers and the community of the tutorial center. So the community, the parents, the teachers who are actually, um, who yung hindi lang volunteers, yung teachers talaga ng tutorial center and the students. And so, and aside from that, parang the old branding of AHA was medyo salat kasi Jayton would get um, different creatives to help out in different aspects of the brand. So for example, papagawa niya yung mural, papagawa niya sa isang illustrator. Tapos, dun sa signage, papagawa niya sa ibang creative friend niya na hindi magkatugma na yung identity. So, hindi siya cohesive. And we realized na baka that might be a reason why like yung wala siyang solid identity, kaya hindi siya nakakakuha kaya it might hinder him from getting financial help, di ba? So, we came up with a system. With the general idea being anyone can be anything. So, from AHA, so it used to be A dash HA, tinanggal namin complications, we just made it AHA, like when you say AHA, when you have like a eureka moment. And we came up with the concept statement, anyone can be anything. Kasi it applies to both the volunteers and the students and the parents as well. So for the volunteers, you don't have to be a full-time teacher to teach young kids or to help them out in their school, in their extracurricular activities even. For the students naman, and these are students who don't have financial means kasi to get tutorial services. So, mga students to from public schools. And so, these students can dream to be anything that they want to be. So, gumawa kami ng parang so the logo, I think you can see more about it naman in our website. Pero the logo kasi has an exclamation point. But if you invert it, it's actually a silhouette of a person. And then the whole idea is that students can draw what they want to be when they grow up. And parang gusto namin kasi empower sila na, hindi porket na galing ka lang sa public school na hanggang security guard or hanggang blue collar jobs lang yan. Hindi, we want them to aspire beyond their social status, di ba? So, yun, parang you can be a ballerina if you want to. You can be a designer if you want to. You can be a dentist if you want to. Anyone can be anything. But yeah, we've been in contact with Jayton. The next year after the rebrand, after we finished the rebrand, we got our interns to help out in creating a volunteer kit or a volunteer manual to solve the problem of onboarding new volunteers. Kasi nakita our interns saw, and again, we made them volunteer as teachers in AHA. We made them pinpoint the problems that they saw in the experience, and then they realized that it's hard to onboard a volunteer, especially if the class is like a few minutes from when they arrive. So, kailangan mabilisan yung onboarding. Kaya yung ginawa nila isang volunteer manual na it's just one bond paper and folded. Tapos it also serves as an ID, as an attendance check, and andun lahat ng guidelines. Amazing work by our interns. Yun. I think it's just really, what's nice then with that project was that there was a collaboration with Jayton and everyone else in AHA. We were able to talk to the students and the parents even, and it's so much better if you involve the clients and the stakeholders in the process, because you can you can add so much more depth to your work. Um, oh, but another thing I actually wanted to point out, kanina, but I was able to. I just want to clarify what we mean by research in our process. Kasi, just to share, actually, just a while ago at 2 p.m., we had a workshop on design research. Um,
Perfect.
and I think I just wanna clarify lang what we do. Um, so again, in our process, di ba, we have the research phase. But and as I've said before, this process has been a constant work in progress. It's always been developing. So ang dami ng growth na nangyari. But actually, when I came in sa Enda House, hindi ganun yung strategy namin. Our strategy, I remember, was very lean at the time. It was more similar to mood boards and inspiration photos, more than actual research and I guess like yeah, research on the brand. So I just want to clarify because apparently there's a term called design research, and there are other companies who do that. Um, and they do more of the qualitative research. And the online talk that we had today was with Bernie Salva of Curiosity, and they do design research. Amazing. Um, and though we still do qualitative research, I guess it's not to that extent of design research companies like Curiosity. But we do make sure naman that whatever we research on, it aids the visual identity or the design that we work, in the second phase or kasi yun naman talaga yung primary goal namin.
All right, so I don't want to take much of your time, Clara, and all of what you've just said is just very interesting at the same time, very insightful. But after you telling us about your project with AHA and how it really worked for them, now on a general scale, this is going to be my last question. What are your metrics when a brand project is hit? So how can you say na, oy, parang this brand project was a real hit and we really did hit our goal. So what how can you say that what you did is really effective?
Okay. Well, as a design studio, I think metrics namin, they're not usually numbers. But I think it's more of when we fulfill a goal that was identified in the start of the project, then that for us is already a measure of success. So I think an example I can give here is like if we see how people resonate with the brand that we made, and and I guess it also is how the clients are able to expand their identity and go on with their brand growth without us. Kasi yun naman talaga yung goal, so they can further their brand identity without us, being um, in the project. So an example of this of how we were able to see a brand succeed is the project we did with La Lola. Because at the time when La Lola came up to on the half, we didn't really have an in-house team. So as soon as we finished the identity, kumbaga um, kami yung gumawa lahat nung collaterals nila, nung packaging, nung social media, their in-store posters, and I think at some point, um, I think at some point the company was growing. They were having almost 13 branches nationwide, and they realized that they actually needed an in-house team, and we've been suggesting that they hire an in-house team. And so they realized that it was then when they realized na design plays an important role in their business. And it was nice to see the growth of La Lola from when they started one store into 13 nationwide branches. And with our clients incorporating design in their business practice and having their own team and not going back to us, parang for us is already a measure of success. And even in AHA, for example, after the rebrand and after the intervention of our interns, um, Jason was able to get more financial support and grants and support, overall support for AHA. And again, we don't have like the exact numbers to show potential clients na, we were able to attain like this thousand reach or likes, ganyan. Hindi namin yun measure eh. Parang, I guess also, hindi rin kasi namin yun strong suit kasi most majority of us are designers talaga and like art graduates or fine arts graduates. So, but that isn't to say now we don't want to improve. Of course, we've been working towards being more into business development, and I think this is where I want to segue also. What we're currently doing now in the half is that we're trying to branch out into like not just doing brand identity projects, but transforming into a more multidisciplinary design studio. So I guess we just to share, we've been doing more of social design. I think if you saw our work for what we started the Contra COVID campaign. You can check it out. Creators who are watching this, contracovidcampaign.com. You can join and collab and submit your work. We also are trying to branch out more into the education. So we also started this online series called Design Dialogues, trying to create again, just like how Dustin here is doing this whole SAW.DESIGN. We're trying to make content also for young designers and students. And I think lastly, also, we want to branch out to retail. So we're working on some products that we want to create, that we've been wanting to create and sell. So, yun, hindi lang siya design, all creative design. It's also managing. And I think managing the business side of things. So, ayun, parang I wouldn't be able to answer concretely this last question of like what are our metrics of when a brand project is hit. It's a hit, pero we try to learn pa rin ano pa bang pwede naming i-check, idagdag para ma-check kung success yung ginawa namin or hindi.
Right. And actually, I'm a fan of what you've been doing because you have been doing a lot of works. Again, to add to what you say, yung contra COVID, I saw the deck and it is really well thought of. Nakakainis kayo guys. Sobrang galing ng deck.
Contribute ka! Hindi ka naman yata nag-contribute.
Oo nga. I'm so sorry. I've been trying, But then again, so yeah, there. Thank you again for the chit chat and the information that you just shared for us tonight, Clara. That was very helpful. At the same time, not just helping me, of course, but my hope is that other creatives will also learn from this. So again, much like any other video, I'll be posting NHAF's links and some projects in my page here at SAW.DESIGN. And last, before we say goodbye to each other, I hope to see you guys again after all of this, after all of this.
Yes, sana.
Thank you so much for your time, Clara.
Thank you.
Representing NHAF. All right. See you after. See you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning here at SAW.DESIGN PH, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of iSocial.Distancing Designer Interviews. Our goal is telling Philippine graphic design stories. If you'd like more content like this, how about clicking the subscribe button here? I think it's here, so you get more video resources about graphic design. And we're expecting to see you watching again here at iSocial.DESIGN PH.